as the meetings were getting a little out of hand, going too long. And at 10 o'clock.
December 14th, 2022. Start with Pledge of Allegiance and flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Here.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Here.
Mayor Jacobs.
Here.
We have four.
Additions, deletions, and withdrawals to the agenda. Start with a couple here. Going to pull 12.1 for later time. And I'm going to add a 10.145. And that's going to the beach house. Beach house
Clubhouse.
clubhouse.
Yeah.
Is that what the other term was? Beach house clubhouse discussion. 10.145. Is it on?
It's pretty loud.
Alright, continue on.
Shit, it's my- Yeah.
Add-on? No additions. JC?
No, I don't have anything.
Nothing, thank you, Mayor.
Alright. Alright, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda with changes.
Motion to accept the agenda with the changes? Second.
It's kinda weird. It does. Discussion. None. Roll call.
So motion was made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
motion passes.
Presentation 5.1. Proposed legislative program, Lobbyist Sigerson. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Commissioner, Mayor, Commissioners. Sorry, I'm a little tired from the long drive from Tallahassee. Tonight, you have before you in your backup the proposed legislative program for 2022-2023, and it consists, and I'll briefly just go over what it is. It's the substantive part of it is a general framework where we select important issues to most municipalities, but that are also deemed to be important to Pembroke Park. And then the second level would be issues that directly affect Pembroke Park, like we monitor mobile home legislation to make sure that nobody files a bill that would require you to pay for the relocation of a closed mobile home park like they did many years ago that we we defeated, as an example. Also, annexation is obviously of a particular interest to this community, this town. So that would be the second part, excuse me, the second part, or substantive legislation A and B. And then the last part, which is the one that I would like you to consider this evening, particularly, is proposed legislative budget requests. And on that, in that regard, we have two candidates, I guess, for your approval to submit to the legislature for funding. One is the GeoSCADA telemetry monitoring system. This will monitor your lift stations in a much more modern way. It's kind of what the current technology is, and that's going to be, with the IT costs added in, that's going to be roughly $600,000. And then the second project is the wastewater lift station improvements for lift station 17. That's a 1.7 million. It's going to require a fairly significant match from the town. I would say at least a 20 to 25% match, but we are told that this is a lift station that needs replacement ASAP. So those are the two projects that we've come up with. I should also like to note that D. Carper is working on a capital improvement plan, which the town currently does not have, and she's got a rough draft of it. She's fine-tuning it. She's working with staff, with manager, and with Roy, and with the Public Works Department, since a lot of it's coming out of that area, to refine the numbers and the projects and update, where we are in the process. Some of these projects, a lot of these projects actually have either surtax money or HMGP grant money, either for design or potentially construction. Some of them are in design phase. There's, I think, one project that is, the design is going to be finished by the end of the year, by the end of December, maybe next week. But it's important, and you'll see this CIP, Capital Improvement Plan. You will see it at probably your next workshop, which is going to be when?
December 28th.
December 28th. Okay. Dee wasn't sure whether it was going to be December or January. So, but she said whenever it is, she'll have it ready for you all to consider. And it's really important that you have a capital improvement plan, because it is the basis for grant applications and legislative budget requests. It's a question that you get asked on every grant application, and all in the House and Senate budget request forms is CIP. And how is it? They might ask secondary questions, but the basic question is this part of your CIP? And so that's why we think it's very important that you would adopt one. CIPs, though, it's not like you're allocating money. So you can come, it's just a plan. So you can come back later and adjust it as new information and new priorities develop, and periodically cities will adjust their CIP at least once a year, at least annually, at budget time.
At budget time, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's something that comes during the budget process. You approve that as well.
Right. But you can amend your CIP at any time. And as I said, even though it's going to look like, okay, we're allocating all this money, you're not allocating anything particularly. It's just a plan, and it requires that there be funding sources matched with even if we say in the document that part of the funding will come from here, maybe part of the funding would come from an enterprise fund, maybe a little from general fund, excuse me, and the rest will apply for grants. I mean, however, it doesn't have to be specific, and you don't have to have the grant in hand. You can just say, we know of a grant and we'll apply for it to make up the difference between what we have in our budget or a future budget and what the cost of the program is going to be. So you'll see that in December. And anyway, so didn't mean to digress from tonight's business, but I think it's important that you know that that's coming down the pike. So,
And I just want to inform the commissioners, if you guys are unaware, lift station 17 is a very critical lift station for the town. It is the one that covers Watkins Elementary. So the last thing we need is a failure that goes along with our elementary school there. That could be a major catastrophe. So we need to keep up on that one. I did meet with the Public Works Director today, and we actually discussed this lift station for a bit today. So it's functioning. That's the best I can say about it at the moment. So
keep your fingers crossed.
every day. So and also I feel like I threw a tin can across the room, string in the conversation we're having here. That's what it sounds like to me.
What, with this microphone?
Yeah. No, it sounds like it talking through a tin can. Got an echo. Yeah. You hear it?
Is there some?
It's too loud. Is that it?
It's too loud. So how do I make it not so loud?
No, it's not you. You
It's
got-
on the-
Oh.
You don't have the controls there.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just
Master
I'm
control.
just exhausted. I can't.
You guys have any questions?
So I think we need a vote.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, if you make a motion, vote to approve this.
All right, how about, I'll entertain a motion to approve and go forward. Motion to approve and keep going, move forward. Yeah, I'll second. Discussion? Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And let me just add this. We had very nice, Connie and I met with our representatives in Tallahassee. Well, we didn't actually meet with the senator. He was on the floor. We met with his aide for quite a bit. And we also met with Representative Woodson. And we previewed her that these projects may get approved at tonight's meeting. She was enthusiastic about helping us. So just so you know, I think that's helpful to know. And also, at the December workshop, we may come back to you with a third or fourth program taking money from a different silo, like a transportation project. These are coming from, one could come from wastewater, another one could come from the resiliency buckets of money. Excuse me. But what we would like to do is see if there is a transportation project that is sort of ready to go before the legislature, so that we can spread ourselves out and make sure that we're not putting all our eggs in one basket, if you will. Or
I think we expect to see you every meeting.
yeah.
And then up there.
Are you gonna fly me home? Is that
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
you gonna fly me home?
We know you like to drive.
Yeah, thanks. If you all don't mind, I think I'm gonna go home. I'm exhausted.
That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Right, we'll move forward. Number 6, public comment related to the agenda items, good and welfare. Mr. Roach?
Not tonight.
Really?
Really? You have the night off.
Cece? Our few consistent residents? All right. Nothing on the consent agenda. This is a combo kind of meeting workshop, meeting all in one. So we'll move forward with the resolutions. 8.1 will be the police union, town manager Jimenez, resolution number 2022-022. Town attorney, can you read this by title, please?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Resolution 2022-022 is a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, recognizing the Florida State Lodge Fraternal Order of Police as the exclusive bargaining representatives of the proposed bargaining unit, comprised of all full-time sworn employees of the Town of Pembroke Park and the classifications of police officers, police sergeants, and police lieutenants, authorizing and directing the mayor and appropriate town officials to take any and all action necessary to effectuate the intent of the resolution, superseding conflicting resolutions and providing for an effective date.
Town manager.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioner, about a month and a half ago, we received notice from PERC, basically, that the police department, of their intent to form a union. Obviously, we're not necessarily opposed to it. We, in their research, they discovered that the union that existed here through FOP as well, back in 1982 or so, or 80, it still existed. It was still active, without any members or anything like that, but it was still there. And they just wanted to renew that one, and this is the quickest way to do it, to establish them again. And this resolution basically us accept that.
Starts the process.
It starts the process, basically. Again, yes.
I will entertain a motion. 2 readings.
One resolution, Mayor, one reading. This is it.
I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-022.
Motion to approve resolution 2022-22. I'll second.
Discussion. All I gotta say is, I'm, as a former FOP member, I think this is a great choice and it makes it very convenient for the town. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
motion passes.
Ordinances, second reading, B 9.1, amending the responsibilities of the planning and zoning board, building official Nunez, ordinance number 2022-016. Senator,
Thank you, Mayor. The item is an ordinance of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, amending Section 28-36 of Chapter 28, Zoning, Article 2, Administration within the Town of Pembroke Park Code of Ordinances to further define the responsibilities of the town's Planning and Zoning Board, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinances, superseding conflicting ordinances and resolutions, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading and a public hearing, Mayor.
official Nunez, add anything?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioners. At this point in time, this is the second reading out of the first part, out of this ordinance change. That previously everything that we needed to do in the zoning code needed to go to the Planning and Zoning Board. When we actually believe that that has to be only on certain aspects that are
Changes your language.
I promise that I only speak English and Spanish. I do not do that kind of language that you heard in there. So this only limited certain conditions when they're gonna be using some kind of planning or affecting anything on the use or the aesthetics of the building or someone like that. So not everything needs to go to the Planning and Zoning Board, and that will limit their. So we don't have to have a meeting every single 15 days. That's basically what it is. It's no more than that.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2022-016.
We need public
Oh, wait,
comment first.
public comment, hold on. Let me open this up for public comment. Looks like our 2 members say no, so we will close public comment. I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 2022-016.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2022-016.
Second. Discussion?
None.
Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs. Motion passes.
New business. 10.1, approval of minutes. Town Clerk Martell. Were these
Usually
written in
we
APA
have
format?
Excuse me?
Were these written in APA format, double space,
Yes, they were, sir.
triple check?
Yes.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes, 10.1. Second.
Discussion?
None.
Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Regular 10.2, 2023 regular workshop and commission meetings. Town Clerk Martell.
This is what I submit every year just to go ahead and set for the regular workshop meetings. And that's what's before you. What I also wanted to let you know is that, in addition to this, the elections, website is already up and rolling, and we do have some candidates, and the book that is needed is also already on there. So once this is approved, this will also go up on the website.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the regular workshop commission meetings and schedule.
Motion to approve 10.2, regular workshop commission meeting schedule. No, second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.3 service IT contract or service contract for IT director.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioner, Mark Pakula, IT Director, Town of Pembroke Park. These are renewals for service contracts 10.3 and 10.4. They are both budgeted items. 10.3, I'm asking for the initial amount with a leeway for emergencies and things like that. That is also budgeted. These are companies that are helping us do the infrastructure for town, police, things of that nature. And then on 10.4, they're basically the same. You see it about half that amount, and the other 5,000 is also a budgeted amount for just emergencies, have in place, things of that nature.
Let me do 10.3 first.
No problem.
All right, and that's Flagler. Right?
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 10.3.
Yes. Yes.
Service contract. No, second.
Discussion.
None. But it ties in with 10.4. Mark, what's the difference between the two?
Two different companies. Excuse me. Two different companies.
I know, but they do something separate?
Yeah, one specializes in security, cyber terrorism, things of that nature. The other one does more infrastructure, networking.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
If you guys can please put the mics a little bit closer to you, because I'm getting, it's more straight to the voice.
Like this?
There you go.
Still sounds weird.
We're not used to the clarity.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille and seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.4 consulting services for the town of Pembroke Park IT director. Pakula. This is for SFB
Solutions.
budgeted item 4,900, not to exceed 10,000. Did I help you there?
There you go.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve 10.4 consulting services.
Discussion.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, 10.5, credit card over 20,000, October 22.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. Please excuse my voice, I lost it last night. On September 28th, during the Mayor and Commission meeting, you guys approved the list of recurring items over $10,000 paid on a monthly basis. One of those items specifically happened to be the credit cards, which had a $20,000 threshold. In November, the credit card bill was a few dollars over the $20,000. It was over by $4.04. But, you know, just want to be transparent and bring this item to you guys and ask for permission to pay. The reason why it was over was primarily because of the Thanksgiving purchases. The turkeys alone were about 14,000. We can provide a list if you like, but really just coming to you to ask for permission to pay that bill since it's over the threshold.
The turkeys weren't 14,000. It was 6,000, and then
The entire
food drive
thing.
was
Sorry
higher.
about that.
It's a very sensitive issue.
I apologize. I apologize.
You must have been at the same hockey game I was last night. Anyways, I will entertain any motions. I'll make a motion to approve. Requested. Second. Discussion. None.
Motion made by, Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thanks. Drink some tea and honey, you'll feel better. All right, 10.6, request extension for the amnesty program, expiration date, building official Nunez, staff recommends approval. This is something, that me and Miguel worked on, we need to, I think we need to extend it. We're still having residents coming in.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk, Commissioner. Yes, at this point in time, I'm requesting an extension to the amnesty program. As you can remember, the amnesty program was set to expire on December 31st, 2022. Obviously, we still have a couple of additional residents that are still getting benefited for this particular program. But one of the items that also prompted this extension, besides the permitting issues and so on like that they need to do, is that we have one of the program engineers who was involved with many of the applicants, and unfortunately he passed away, leaving close to 15 to 20 individuals in the air. Right now, with the help with local contractors, with the help with the actual family members of the engineer, additional engineers, and the building department, we are trying to move them towards the goal of securing their homes and clarifying all the violations that they have. Unfortunately, there's not enough time. As you can imagine, the holidays are upon us, and during this transition, there is copyright laws, there is certain things that are involved into this that we cannot violate. And that's the reason I'm requesting the amnesty program to be extended to April 30, 20. I'm sorry, in my memo I said 2022, it's supposed to be 2023. That's a typo, so I apologize for that.
Do you want to do a 6-month extension on this?
If you give me 16 extensions, it will be also appreciated. That will give them additional time for them.
Are you getting new applicants?
You still have new applicants. Unfortunately, the new applicants are getting back because they were faced with the cancellation or the expiration of the amnesty program by 2 weeks from now, so they will not have the time to get into the process.
So if we extend it to 6 months, they will have
They will have that opportunity, and I believe is fair and consistent with the town intent to have them to protect them, and at the same time the funds are still gonna be the same. There's no extension on funds. We still have plenty of money on what we set aside for the program. So basically it's time extension.
Why wouldn't you want to extend it for the year?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Why wouldn't you want to extend it for the full year, 2023?
I believe that will be too long. We need to motivate our residents one way or another to abide by it. But some others are applying, but they're doing nothing else.
I see. Let's set the date. What do you think? It's 6/30/22.
I would say 6/30/23.
All right. Can you just submit the paperwork with the corrected date on it?
Yes, I will send it to the town clerk.
approve the extension of the energy program till 6/30.
Any discussion? Not. Roll call.
6 is June. Yeah, 2 months
Yeah,
more.
June 30th.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkin, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.7, building department build out contractor ranking, building official Nunez.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioner, Miguel Nunez, building official again. At this time in item 10.7, I would like to inform you about the ranking, the contractors for the police department. We had a successful, as per previous approvals that the commission approved, that the town manager and myself will be able to rank them, issue the contracts, follow the process, but at the same time to bring you information at the commission meetings. At this time, I'm also providing the ranking that we provided based on the bids that we received from the vendors for that particular building, and we received 5 bidders. Out of the 5 bidders, 1 was disqualified because did not completed the bid the way it was stated. Therefore, but if you look at in the chart that we have there, Waypoint Contracting was the selected bidder, and we proposed to issue the notice of proceed to them. They came on $925,000. This is a lump sum contract. Obviously, you might have some changes up and down depending on the conditions of the build out. Therefore, I would like to request your authorization to proceed with Waypoint Contracting for $925,000. But at the same time, I'm requesting an additional that is not necessary that it's going to be expended, but that way I don't have to come back to you for every $2,000, $3,000, or something like that, or X amount of dollars, with an additional 15% for contingencies. That's already, the town manager and myself have been discussing about it, and unless, I don't want to talk for him, but I believe it's acceptable.
Yes.
That's 1.064.
You can put a not to exceed.
Not to exceed 1.064.
I'll second.
Oh, I didn't make a motion. I need someone to make a motion.
Did you make a motion? Yeah, I did. Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry. I heard somebody. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to. What was it? Motion to approve Waypoint. Hold on.
Waypoint Contract.
Waypoint Contracting, not to exceed 1.0649.
Motion to approve the contracting, not to exceed
1.064
million. I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, so that's just the price at with 15% added in.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkin. Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes. Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mayor, I would like to inform, I was waiting for your voting, but I would like to inform that we received the contract with Waypoint Contracting, email it to the town manager, and subsequently it's going to be in the hands of our town attorney for town protection, and immediately it's going to be issued. But the notice of proceed will go first, so they can start demolition within 1 or 2 weeks. Okay.
Alright, 10.8, proposal for town minimum wage for employees, myself, HR Director Friedman, and this should also have JC Jimenez on it. This was a discussion between the 3 of us. Start off with several months ago, well, this actually started back with our former HR Director. We've had issues bringing in new and recruiting new staff for our outside positions due to the town having having a minimum pay, and it was 34.
It's around $16 an hour.
About $16 an hour. So I brought in this proposal to bring it up to $42,000 a year, which is 20.
It's $20.20 an hour, which equals to about $42,016 a year.
There you go. That's the exact numbers there. They went through and did an impact. The immediate impact to the town is a cost of $26,392. There are benefits to doing this. One, it helps our staff out with a little extra money because there are 5.
There's currently 4 positions that will get a drastic increase. 1 employee for compression issues, and then 2 positions that are vacant.
Okay. And then it will help us fill those last 2 vacant positions as it brings the pay up into the competitive market for these positions. Again, the impact to the town is $26,392, which we have gone through finance to make sure we can do this. What we're asking for is that we vote this in, and the effective date will be January 1st of 2023. Having full staff cuts down on the overtime that they're also spending on those outside positions as well. So in the long run, it gives them a little more home life and fixes our staffing issue here.
Is that just the new guys coming in? Or is this
It'll affect current staff as well. There's 4 currently that will have a drastic increase. 1 for compression, so a total of 5.
the other one that's under 2020?
Everyone under 2020 that are full time.
So if there's anyone that's, say, at 2020 or 21 even, do they get a bump?
That's the 1 employee. There's 1 employee that does get a little bump because he's close to the 2020 mark. So he's included in the 5.
And it's in the backup there if you want to look at it.
Sorry.
We kept names out of it, so it's just the positions.
All right, that was it. I just didn't want somebody that
And so
used to earn their salary and then
no. Yeah, we made sure that was compression. We looked at what people who are currently here who are close to the 2020 mark, and we adjusted that as well. But I just wanted to make you guys aware that one of the positions that's being affected comes out of the building fund. So it has no impact to the general fund. And then the stormwater and water and sewer positions don't come out of the general fund. So really for general fund, it's
3 positions.
basically 3 positions, yes.
So it only really affects 3 positions for the general fund. The others are covered through other funds that we have here in town. Any more questions? No, I don't have any. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
second.
Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille.
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.9 volunteer time off program.
Yes, so I thought this would be a great policy to bring forward for volunteer hours. And this not only goes for town events, but anybody that volunteers at a nonprofit organization. And we're going to match hour for hour up to 20 hours a calendar year. Of course, they will have to supply proof. So there is an attached form that they'd have to get filled out either through the town or through whatever nonprofit organization.
And I just want to be clear with you guys, this is something, again, I went over with HR very well. This doesn't mean employees are capped out at 20 hours of community service time. This just says that we're going to assist them with up to 20 hours volunteer time will be approved through the town, and it goes into their leave bank for the calendar year. So if they work over that with other organizations or whatnot, it means they can work as much as they want. Just 20 hours are covered by the town
And it's also
per year.
and it's also not accruable. It's you got to use it by the end of the
Yeah,
year.
it's a one-time use it or lose it.
It doesn't
And it won't be paid out if they leave.
And what?
And it won't be paid out if they leave.
Yes. Questions? No? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 10.9 volunteer time off program.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.10 Performance Award Program, HR Director Friedman. This is another thing that I discussed with our HR Director, that we do not have an awards program for the town. And she took the time to put this together for us.
Yes. Per state statute, to do a bonus program, you have to have a written policy that is for all employees to be taken into consideration for. So we have two rewards. One is going to be the Commendable Performance Award, which for outstanding performance, and this was for a lump sum up to $2,500. The second one is a Distinguished Service Award, which is for outstanding service for the town and for a lump sum up to $5,000. And so basically the criteria would be if somebody saved the town, came up with a process that saved the town money, they would be eligible. If they created a process that saved customers time by coming in, getting customer service and so on, they would be eligible. And so the process would be the director of the department or the town manager can write up, a memo with all the backup supporting it, and then it would come to the commission for approval.
And again, down towards the bottom, you'll read that no employee will receive more than 2 awards in a 5-year period.
Yes, and no more than 15% of the employees of the town can receive it, unless approved by the commission.
So there's some checks and balances put into place.
Any questions? No. Sorry, Miguel. I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, can't win it more than twice.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the award program.
Discussion? None. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. 10.11 paid paternal leave policy, another policy that needed corrected, and Director Friedman took this task on as well.
Yes. So this is for paid parental leave. So not all employees are eligible for FMLA, which is for 12 weeks, but most places don't do it paid. They would have to use their sick, vacation, or a combination. With this policy, the town will pay for up to 8 weeks of someone out for parental leave. This also includes for a male who wants to do bonding time with their child, or somebody who adopts a child, and so on. So this policy is normally, most counties, not many cities have it. So I think it's a progressive plan for our recruitment as far as with our police department and getting new blood in here. It's a great recruitment tool, and I'm hoping you guys are all in support.
I took time to read through it, asked her questions, and I think it's a very good policy to go forward with. You guys have any questions?
No, I've been listening to it. It was fun.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve 10.11 paid parental leave policy.
Discussion? Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, second by Vice Mayor DeVille. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
I just seen if everyone's awake. I only get to do it a couple times through the day, so. All right, crossing guards, Chief Howard. 12.2 crossing guard contract.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioner. We talked about this several months back. I'm gonna request that the police department do not assume responsibility for the crossing guards at this time until such time we're in our building and we're accredited, sometime in the next 6 to 8 months. We just have so much going on right now. And this contract, from what I understand, is long expired, and
So you just wanna keep it going to where it is right now,
right,
and then bring it up at a later time?
yes.
Alright, I'll entertain a motion to table 10.12, crossing guard contract with, Police Chief Howard to bring back at a later time.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to do 10-12 crossing guard contract.
Discussion?
Do you think the people that are doing it now?
It's Public Works now. Yeah.
And there's no issues? We haven't had any?
I haven't had any issues, but the contracts, I guess they're just on a month to month or something. I don't know.
Still on a month to month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I have no objection. I know you guys are just getting started, still bringing people on board. We can keep it going the same way, and there'd be no problem.
If there's an issue, just bring it back.
Absolutely.
Roll call.
Okay, I'm a little confused.
We're just tabling this
Okay.
to bring back at a later time.
Motion to table made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.13, AFR facial recognition software, Police Chief Howard.
Yes, sir. It's a special software. There's a couple of different brands out there. This is approximately $5,000 a year, but we're going to piggyback off a contract from an agency north of us. I think it's 13 or 14,000 for 3 years.
750.
Right, and it works. We've already we've identified 2 catalytic converter thefts using the software, and so we have it free for 60 days, but it's coming to the end. We need to either pay for it or move on to something else. And I've also obtained, it's not here yet, but Pinellas County does a different facial recognition software for free using a different database. So we're going to actually have 2 because we're such a small agency. I want every tool that I can get.
Okay, so one's free and one's $13,000?
Yeah.
I can take the free one.
Well, so it doesn't, this one doesn't work or that one will or vice versa.
It's roughly $4,600 a year for 3 years at a cost of $13,750. I've seen them use it, and I think it's a great tool for the.
Yeah, we've actually closed out a case or so.
Any more questions?
No, I don't.
Entertain a motion.
I'm gonna get a motion to approve 10.13, AFR facial recognition software.
Second. Discussion.
None.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Alright. 10.14, internet services at the community center. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes, I was approached by the Canadian HMO group from the 2 parks and asked if they could have internet service installed at the building, at the Howard Clark building there. And I told them that I would bring it up at the meeting and we would see if it could be approved. They will pay for it, they will pay for the installation. So I didn't have an issue with, but I'm not sure that the town wants to have private individuals doing things like that.
And I'm gonna tie this into 10.14. think the commission and the town manager and the public works director kind of had to meet an open discussion on this community center. It's also historically been referred to as the beach house or the clubhouse or a social, I don't remember the term.
It's a social gathering place anyway.
Yeah, alright, so there is so many issues that just came forward with this place. Now, going back, I think Ray, you may recall back after we got elected, there was windows issues. We paid for a bunch of windows to be put in. We paid for a bunch of electrical work to be put in, and we weren't really sure about this building. There's, I guess, the first part to start is that the building's put on a foundation, so it's a permanent structure. It's not a mobile home. It was donated or deeded over to the town, from what we could tell from 1992 is what the sign indicates out front. After going into the building for the very first time I've been here, there were alarming concerns right from the start. Nothing in the building is ADA compliant. There's a wheelchair ramp that goes up that doesn't have a rail. There's obvious electrical issues going on. There are 3 stoves. Correct me if I'm wrong. Three stoves in there with ovens. 4 refrigerators.
Yeah, it's quite the kitchen.
I'm not sure the electrical system in there can actually handle all of
Is
that.
that all in that back room?
That's all in that back room.
Looks like one.
Yeah, here's another problem. The gas stove isn't really hooked up to a gas line, but has tubes pushed through the back wall to 2 propane tanks.
So they put a propane tank there, and that's what they do?
Yeah.
There's 2 of them.
And I can't recall seeing any kind of fire suppression system or anything like that in there as well. Fire extinguishers. The restroom there in the building is questionable at best. It functions. Happened to show up in the lift station, or the septic system had exploded. So me and JC had a wonderful moment there with Rob. JC didn't want to get his pretty shoes dirty. So,
It was really bad.
avoiding it at all costs. But I'm looking at this, and then we went with our building department, and started looking into the building's not even listed. It has a building, so where the attorney gets to step in, it's not even listed as a building. The weird part is our property line goes through 3/4 of the building. It's on us, and 1/4 of the building is in the mobile home park. The whole, it's called the
Linear Park.
Howard Clark Senior Linear Walkway. So it's a park. We have horseshoe pits. There's the city maintains all of this, so it is considered a park, but it's a linear walkway is what it's being called. But the other thing is that this building, there's no record of this building on the county record. And so I look at this as, is this a public building that the public can use at any one time? But as it is right now, it's being used by only a particular group of individuals. Nice people. I ran into their social club the other day as well. But they're also having beer and wine sales and stuff inside this established public building.
They go and do all kinds of things there.
So that's where like I told you guys a long time ago, I didn't want to open any other boxes. Marlon made me open a box and I found a cell phone in it. Yes, that was you. So we had a missing cell phone for a while and we found it. So but this little, it was just from the internet thing, just opened up a whole nother thing that I think we need to have have someone go over and see what this building is going to need in repairs and see what we need to make this a legal facility.
If I may, Mayor, and again, I'm just kind of listening and hearing a lot of this for the first time. Just a
But
few.
don't worry, we discovered all of this week. So.
Just a few observations, and certainly determining who owns the building would be a key step in that process.
Well,
I mean, there.
it starts with the fact on the dais a while back we were told we were deeded it because him and I at two separate incidents I saw a bill going through for windows in a mobile home park that I found questionable. He found an electrical bill that he found questionable, and it just back then it was just kind of hey it's a property that the town owns.
Has there been? Excuse me, Mayor.
It's not a it's a mobile home community. So we went and looked at it as it being a mobile home that may have been converted or something, but it's actually on a foundation, so it's not a mobile home. It's not registered as a mobile home. So there were this really is something that we need to dig into and figure out the best way to proceed with this illegal structure.
Well, and not only that, you also keep in mind that I'm sure your building official could speak to this. You know, you mentioned not having any records as it relates to the origin of the building. You know,
Right.
no permitting records. We know under Florida law that building erected without a permit is an unsafe structure as a matter of law.
Right.
And it sounds like there are people occupying or using the building for various purposes. So,
The town's put a lot of this not taken away from it. Historically, long before the three of us were up here, the town has put a great deal of money into this building and all sorts of. This is one of those weird Pembroke Park situations that I'm not 100% on. JC's not 100% on. Rob's not 100% on, and our building department, we got them involved because the whole thing it started snowballing right from the beginning. So I think it's one of the situations that we need our building department to really dive into and figure out where we're at with this place.
well, and the other question I would just ask, which I know we don't have the answer to this evening, is whether title work has ever been done on the property, whether we have a history as it relates to ownership, prior ownership, and the evolution of the property from an encumbrance perspective, just to see what other agencies or entities might have some legal rights to that property to the extent that it may be the town and it may be others.
Exactly, great idea. Exactly. So, hi Miguel. Come on up.
Yes, sir.
I know your plate is pretty full as it is, but you want to look into this and kind of give us some direction going forward?
No issues. As a matter of fact, that's one of the building officials' requirements to make sure that structures within the jurisdiction are safe. And as the attorney just mentioned clearly, is to the authority of the building official to declare unsafe if it was built without a permit. However, we need to look at the historical to see if we can find anything, because just before we do anything, just to make sure that it was in fact built without a permit, and what was the condition. I don't, at this point in time, I'm gonna tell you, I don't care who owns it, but if it was built without a permit, then we will be sending it to the Unsafe Structures Board for request for demolition.
Mayor, if I may, instead of tacking him on with everything, he'll look at the permits, maybe do inspections, and then I'll work with the attorney and look up the legal ownership and the title, and all that stuff.
Here's the thing: it's not a mobile home. We did determine it's not a mobile home, so
No sticker on it.
But the weird part about this building is it's got the siding features of a mobile home, but it's got rafters that don't fit with the mobile home on the inside. There's a lot about it that doesn't add up.
Then unfortunately it cannot be on that district. That's a T1 district, and the definition of mobile home is any building that is within a chassis. If it is in a foundation, during those years they were called manufactured homes instead of mobile homes. Manufactured homes came the name after 1976, and modular homes needs to be in compliance with the Florida Building Code that came after that. So I don't know when this building is, and if it is a manufactured home, the entire building needs to be in compliance with the Florida Building Code.
I can tell you the only date that we can come up with on it as of right now is 1986. Because that's what the sign on the front of the building says.
1992 will precede the manufactured building laws, and as far as I know, but I'm pretty sure it was there before, and the T1 district is still there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that existed beforehand,
Oh,
and
I
then
agree.
and then it was just generously donated to the town.
Donated inside of a private community?
Yeah.
The thing is, there's no real parking over there to access it. It's so. When I mean it's another one of those special Pembroke Park situations. This is another one of those special moments that we're having here in Pembroke Park that just popped out of the box at us. So.
If I may, Mayor, and as you indicated, this appears to be a relatively new issue that's really kind of arisen to some extent over the past, several weeks.
Well, I've never actually been to the building. Honestly, with everything we've had going on in the town, it was something that went to the wayside back in 2019. And I remember I had an issue with the windows that we had to pay for it. I remember Ray having an issue with an electrical issue with it, or electrical bill that went to it, because we kind of questioned. I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ray. It was like we were questioning why we're putting money into a private mobile home community and into a community center or beach house or clubhouse. It's had different terms. If you start like looking back, I found something from 2017 that referred to it as a beach house, clubhouse. They wanted to pour a patio and other things on this building. So, we both came on in March of 19. So there's a million things that is just coming up like this around here. This just happens to be the one, and unfortunately, you triggered it by asking for the Wi-Fi, and I'm like, why are we putting Wi-Fi in this building? I grabbed JC because I happened to ask JC about it. I'm like, I don't understand this. So we went over to go look at it. We went downstairs to Lucy. We pulled up the property lines because she showed us where the building was at, and it just Pandora's box just opened up right then and there, and it continued on that day. So the town's been maintaining the building. The town, it's full of like tables and chairs marked Pembroke Park. The septic system in it we maintain. We maintain the building, the toilets, and obviously the windows and other things in it. But this was one of those. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we have to figure it out pretty quick.
No,
Public's not aware of it, so
Yeah.
can't use it, they can't rent it out for parties.
So if it's a public building, it should be if it as a safe structure, as a public building for the town that could be rented out. So like I was like the Girl Scouts need a building to use for the Scouts. Unfortunately, there's no parking.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, there is.
Parking, which makes it extremely difficult for any event to be there. It's just another one of these. We kind of get to the bottom of it in a very timely manner.
It sounds, Mayor.
No, we're not paying taxes on it because it's not listed with the counties. So that's another issue.
Well, it appears, Mayor, there are more questions than answers with regards to the property at this point, and with.
Add more questions in,
well,
more than welcome, because it keeps going down this path.
With the commission's permission, as the manager indicated, we're happy to work with your professional staff to uncover whatever we can as it relates to the property.
Okay, if you guys could put something together, and next workshop, I know, actually you got like kind of 2 weeks. If you can't get it done by then, just keep us in the loop on what to do and how to go forward. Here's my biggest concern at this point. What if something happens in there right now, as we do have the Canadians here using the facility, and the liability falls on the town right now. So that the safety concerns for myself there is, again, we don't have exit lights in the building. There is an exit sign, but not up to code for an emergency exit light. So that in itself was like the first thing this doesn't look right. Now
They kind of party that went after dark. So
yeah, so you can see where it goes. So my concern is public safety on it. That's my biggest thing, and then we'll figure out all the other aspects of how to deal with it. But public safety comes down to number one on the facility itself.
I'm gonna give them a big no.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just
No, I understand.
it just now put us into a very
Different perspective, doesn't it?
possible. What happens if gas fire goes in that kitchen? Anything. So one of those fridges short out in there, and there's so many possibilities that can come out of this. So my concern is for the people to begin with. The building, we have no real data or anything on, and it just keeps going and going and going. So we really need to get to the bottom of it.
Maybe we
So-
get Rob to go over and put a lock on, just lock it up.
Yeah. So I guess would you prefer just direction?
Really, if I may, it would be direction to your city manager and your professional staff. We're happy to coordinate with them to the extent that title work is necessary. We'll do that, but whatever we can do to assist.
So how about JC? If we give you Public Works and the Building Department direction to kind of get to the bottom of this newest Pembroke Park situation, and
Absolutely.
at the same time ensure the safety of the building with the people, just in the time being now that we've been recently made aware of this. So
No problem.
are you alright with that? Okay.
I'd better lock it up and have it be safe.
Okay, so let's just chalk those two up as complete for now. 10-14 and 10-14-5. Sound good? Okay. Marlon, you alright with that? Okay. 10-15, retrofit town hall windows and doors replacement. Award section recommendation, Public Services Director Clark.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Clerk Commissioner. The very simplistic. We've talked about this before. We're just trying to get the windows and the doors fixed that have been outstanding. We went through the bidding process, and we have selected the competent bidder. We're hoping that everything will work out, and if it doesn't, we are requesting. And if everything works out, we're hoping that if a bidder is disqualified, we can go to the next competent bidder.
So you're looking for not to exceed 30,601?
That looks like to be the number, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for retrofit the town hall windows and doors replacement award section not to exceed 30,601.
I'll make a motion to retrofit the windows and the doors in the building, not to exceed the amount.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
If I may, Mayor, just on that particular item, I know that the staff's recommendation was to request the ability to go to the second-ranked firm in the event that the first-ranked firm was disqualified or they couldn't reach agreement. Was that portion included within that motion?
I think it should.
I just want,
What was the second quote for?
It looks like to me that based on the documents,
Wait, I had it right here. I'm sorry.
30,601
30,601.
is the second.
so it was 29,930 and then 30,601.
so it would be the same amount with the authority to move on to number
Yeah.
2 without having to come back to the commission.
Exactly. Let's you want to amend your motion?
Sure. You wanna go 30,000?
30,601 for LGI construction, and then if not, roof painting by Herzl Incorporated.
But not to exceed 31,
30,601.
not to exceed 30,000. I'll make a motion to retrofit the town hall windows replacement award section, not to exceed 30,601.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
Attorney, sounds good. Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hotchkiss, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hotchkiss,
Yes.
motion passes.
All the good stuff here. 10.16. Emergency sewer repair, 3030 Southwest 30th Ave. Public Service Director.
As you well know, that we've had a variety of different failures throughout the town when it comes to our infrastructure. This just happened to be the latest, and the numbers are here. There should be attachments that identify what the costs were in this particular one here at 3300 Southwest 30th Street. We were able to get it done for $39,785.
Right, entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve 10-16, emergency sewer repair. Second.
Discussion?
None. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes.
10-17, emergency sewer repair, 2250 Southwest Park. Public Services Director, Clerk.
Same scenario, sir. For whatever reason, I'm not able to get this one as
Okay,
quick.
I got it here. You want me to read it for you?
Yes, sir.
Emergency sewer repair we had over on 2250 Southwest Park. The financial impact to the town is $55,280. This was all approved back on December 8th and December 9th for the repair. And again, the total came out to $55,280. There is a breakdown in the backup of the cost. If you guys would like to look into that. But I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve 10-17, emergency sewer repair. I'll second.
Discussion?
None.
Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Alright, 10-18, emergency sewer repair, surprise, surprise, 3001 Southwest, 33rd Avenue, you guessed it. Public Service Director Clark, is it not pulling up?
Apparently, no, it's not pulling up. But apparently, what's happening is that we go every 40 to 50 feet and the thing breaks, because as you'll see later, is that right there on that corner, we have 3 consecutive breaks within a block. Now, the one was earlier part or the latter part of last year, but we're consistently having those breaks. And then, as we come up later, we'll be talking about that. But
Consistently, we're going patch to patch at this point.
absolutely.
Pretty soon it's gonna be full patchwork pipe. Alright, so emergency sewer repair 3001 Southwest 33rd Avenue. This one was a total financial impact of $42,604.40. All the backup is attached if you guys would like to go through it. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve 10-19, Southwest 30th Avenue, Perry Sewer Improvement. I'll second.
No, 1018, 1018.
Sorry, 10-18, emergency sewer repair. I'll second.
Alright, discussion, Rob, what's the long-term?
Well,
on this one?
So we put a plan together and we came before the commission, and we originally came with a pipe bursting plan, if you remember the pipe bursting, but we found out it was an EPA regulation that prohibited that from moving forward. So we went to another solution, and unfortunately this other solution isn't trenchless. It's going to be a trench solution, but what it's going to allow for, and if you look in the proposal I provided for the manager and for the town, that it would allow for some changes on 30th Street, and to particularly, for the most part, get us out of the business of fixing pipe in West Park. And so if everything moves forward properly, we'll have, fingers crossed, we'll have one lift station that will supply that particular area to move the gray water through the town and over to the master station.
Any other discussion? No. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Alright, 10.19 Southwest 30th Avenue Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project Study, Public Service Director Clark.
Yeah, this is not to be confused with 30th Street. This is 30th Avenue. and there's a great deal of information there. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to take a look at it, but it looks like there's an overreaching impact associated with the town and how much they would have to bring the septic to sewer project into fruition. It is my recommendation that the town, what's the best term? It's my recommendation that the town take a look at this, but allow for the planning and zoning and all the rest of the components to move forward before the town make a commitment to a septic to sewer plan.
All right, so what are you asking for then on this one?
Just direction. That's it. Do we want to move forward and spend the money on the improvement plan, or do we want to hold off to find out what the zoning committee?
Mayor, this was the route study that was conducted. We've talked about we've talked about the conversion of that area from septic to sewer. As we know, we're looking at rezoning it, changing it, revitalizing that area, and this project would be critical to accomplishing that goal. So the first step.
We could do it without doing it.
Yeah, no, there's no way. You can't have redevelopment on septic. You just can't. So the first step was to do the route study. The next step is to move to is take this to the next step and design or whatever it needs to be at that point.
Where's Keystone Associates with it, and where are they at?
Well, they finished the route study. That's completed. That's what you see right in front of you. Then the next step would be to speak to them, get a proposal on making this thing a reality and moving on to the next phase of it. Because I know that the building official has received plenty of questions about this, and a lot of inquiries about acquiring properties over there, developing properties over there in that area. And that's the one sticking point. No. Rob put it on here for a direction, but what I'm suggesting is that we'll get. I'll speak with Keith and Associates, get a proposal from them as to what the next step is, and what I would really want to do with them is lay out the steps, the next several steps, and how we can get it completed, and put some timelines on that as well.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. You gotta keep moving forward. You can't do anything with that area while it's still on septic.
Correct.
All right, then I'm gonna say let's give direction to keep moving this forward.
Okay.
You guys all right with that? Yes. All right. I should ask you first. Okay, we're all in consensus and direction to go forward. Right. 1020. Excuse me. Termination, Public Services Director, Jimenez, HR Director Freeman.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk, Commissioner, this is never the easy part of my job. I provided you individually with a memo with my recommendation and the reasons for, and if you have any questions, or I stand by that recommendation at this time.
And as you all are aware, this is the last thing I'd like to do up in a public forum. Is there any questions? Commission have?
I would like to thank Robert for all the hard work that he's put in at the town. And I've seen the town go from, in just a year that I've been here, the town really improved, pothole wise, no matter what wise, grass wise, everything that's been going on in the town, he's cleaned it up really well. And I thought he did a pretty amazing job. The issues management may have with them, I don't have.
spoke to Rob himself. I spoke to staff, his guys, and I also spoke to the management team. I got the memo and everything, so I'm ready to make a decision, but of course it's not easy.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to terminate the public works director.
Second.
I vote no.
Let's pass it. I'll second the motion. And open it up for discussion. Any discussion?
I mean, no more discussion than what I said previously.
Just 1 minute here. Rob, is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I have a presentation if I could, if you'd be so inclined. I really don't know what the manager wrote his memo, so I can't really answer any questions as to what was the basis. But you know, I'd like to show and be positive as to what I've contributed, if the commission will allow it.
I'd like to hear it. And how about we take 5-minute recess or 10-minute recess? Can you provide him with the memo so he can
Yeah, sure.
read over the memo?
Okay.
times 8:44 will resume.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioner, Rob Clark, Public Services Director. Thank you for the opportunity to review the memo that, of actually what was going on. So as I read the memo, I'd like to address a couple of issues that, or address these charges as they relay to my service here at the town. So we talk about the background, and it was understood that I had a large undertaking in the Public Services Department, and it takes about a year, and the employment maintenance and all the things that go into it, it says it's in stellar shape. I like to, if you don't mind, pull up this PowerPoint presentation. I know I get out of hand with some of the PowerPoint presentations, but this one will be brief. So on the initial, on the first page, you see that is a open dead front. So within 30 days of me being here at the town, I uncovered the electrical issues within the town that no one was aware of. I brought teams of people in here to analyze, and we're working towards get that, and I present it to the commission as one of the projects that we need to take care of to bring this town up to speed. Next slide, please. Here's the downright factual truth of Southwest 30th Street. That's your timeline. That means on the 8th of November, I hadn't been here 3 years. I mean, not 3 years, but 3 months. From September to November, you had a break. And then March, you had a break. And then March again, you had a break. And then April, you had a break. And then November, you had a break. And then November again, you had a break. Next slide, please. I'll go back to that other one, please. Back one. It's okay. No. Yeah, if you notice, I'm in the hole. Next slide, please. Here again, we've identified on South Park, and 2 of our members of our commission drove by and we saw the giant hole. I was there for 28 hours. Not a sandwich, not a drink of water. I was there.
Was there for how long, did you say?
For 28 hours. So what happened is that Rob and I came to work first thing that morning. We did our rounds, then we got the call, and then we stayed there till the job was done. That's my measure of commitment. Next slide, please. Here again at the Coca-Cola station. People almost forget that it's even over there. And we've had to replace parts on that Coca-Cola station now since 2016. This is our 3rd time. Next slide, please. We're not going to forget the reserve park and the efforts that we're making to make our park nice. The mayor didn't even know that we had grills over there. I bought grills for everybody to be able to check out so you can take your family and cook a hamburger or a hot dog. The grill that was over there was destroyed. I had that repaired. We put mulch down in the exercise areas where there had been no mulch. I removed all the broken equipment. And I repaired the memorial to one of our employees here. We had ripped up flags. Didn't even have a town flag. No one trimmed the trees. Next slide, please. work product. When your AC failed in the building, I went to my truck and got my tools out and got the system back going. I did. When the police department moved to the 3rd floor, hadn't had air conditioning in years. They got air conditioning now. It's not perfect, but they have it. And when it failed, I found a competent company to come and repair it, because 3 other of our favorite contractors were unable to repair it. So we had been spending money on contractors who didn't have the skill set necessary to solve these problems. The entire time I stood there and watched him. Next slide, please. I moved here in 1991, and that service road had been a mess since then. We got the road paved. Thank you, Commission. Next slide, please. Town hall projects. We just recently got the survey so we can start with the manufactured wall for the police department so we can enclose this. Police build out, roof repair, the lights that need to be replaced. Next slide, please. This is an organizational chart which will help us move forward. This is what we need, because I brought to the manager within 30 days with an assessment of my team. And I made it clear on more than one occasion, on every monthly occasion when we had conversations, that staffing needs to change in order to accommodate the necessity of this town. And it's not because we have bad people. It's because they're overwhelmed. Is that the skill set needed for this town has to be raised. The reality of it is that with what we have, we're struggling. I'm struggling. I make no excuses. Next slide, please. Here's your work management. You can barely see it there, but from 2020 to 21, you had somewhere in the neighborhood of 687 work orders. That number has changed to, I think it's 6,800. That's because I hold people accountable. Because you can't touch a piece of equipment without having a work order. Holding supervisors accountable to ensure that nothing gets touched unless we have a work order, that we take before and after pictures. I will always have a can-do spirit. And many of you can identify that, because unfortunately when you're leading, the rest of the people are behind you. What I will always do for this town is stand up and do the right thing. In this particular instance, where I'm talking about these numbers here, is that this is what it takes to accomplish the mission you've set me out for. I want to address the morale associated with the town and my employees, or the employees that report to me. Every morning, this was addressed at 8 o'clock, I would stand out front with the team to address issues, concerns, complaints. I use those exact words. Do you have any issues, concerns, or complaints? Any problems? Anything that I need to know about? Do you have enough safety gear? Hard-toe shoes, bump hat, and a reflective vest. Do you have gloves? This was an everyday occurrence. On up to when we hired a superintendent, where I passed over the reins for him to follow in those footsteps. 30 days later, I got a complaint. So from September to July, we were putting up good numbers. I make an appeal to the commission to say that my team is overwhelmed. It was not to offend anyone, and no one should have been offended, but they were. And I apologize to the people that I offended. To address the third portion of it is to say that the items that were brought to the commission on that particular day at the end of September were items that needed to be addressed and to get direction. I take full responsibility for that because I talked to the manager about those items and I asked him to put them on the agenda, so therefore I can get some direction and discussion. I should have put together all of the PowerPoint presentations and the numbers. This process is convoluted, and I failed you. But I have all the PowerPoint presentations. I have all the numbers. Forgive me for not being the person who understands this process as well as I should, but I'll accept that failure. I'll address this issue with grants, and I have all the numbers with the grants. It is my understanding that every grant that has been applied for is up to date. It is my understanding. That's all that I can offer. I don't submit the documentation. I didn't submit it when it's first open. I didn't submit the follow-up documentation. The only thing I have is a report. I submitted that report. I hold my individuals accountable. I wrote a letter to HR, to the manager, and to the mayor, allowing them to see that there is an issue that needs to be resolved. I have discussed this at length, and I would like for that change to be made. The projects. This is a document that was presented to me by a vendor that said that these were the mistakes in the RFP project contract. I brought this to the manager's attention. We had the mistakes in the contract fixed, and we're moving forward with the project. That's the 32nd Street asphalt project. I have the documents here for the agreement for professional services for us to move forward with the design portion of any project that we need to do to include the police department's wall. There's the document for that, and it needs to be signed by the commission, which will allow for engineering services. I submitted that to the manager. This one is the document to be submitted and signed by the commission to fix the sinkhole. I printed and submitted that to the manager as well as emailed. I would go so far as to say that when I show up in the morning, first thing I do is not come and grab a cup of coffee. I go check a lift station. That's the measure of my commitment. I could say a lot more, but I will go so far as to say is that I haven't violated any labor laws. I haven't called anyone out of their name. I haven't disrespected anybody. I have not put them in a position where their safety or their health is at risk. And I've done exactly what this commission has asked me to do. And there's not a single person in this room or within earshot of this microphone that can say that they can call one telephone number and not get me, and I not have a solution within 24 to 48 hours. That is my commitment to this commission. Now, it has been said that the issue is not about my work product, it's about my team's morale. My team will always have a morale issue if they don't do their job, because I'm going to be standing right there. I inspect what I expect. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or make any friends. I'm trying to do what I'm paid to do. Get the job done. To some people, that may seem unfair, because the status quo was pointed out to me, and I'm not okay with it. So, in closing, I'd like to say to you this. Regardless of what people decide today, I realize that a quote by Mike Tyson, of all people, said that everyone you fight is not your enemy, and everyone who tries to help you is not your friend. That's one of the lessons he said he learned in life. The lesson that I learned is that no matter what, I'm going to stand my ground. I was given the opportunity to walk out on this town, and I refused to do it. I put the work in, and I'm still putting the work in. And until you vote and say that you no longer want me on your team, you can go to sleep at night and flush your toilet and turn on your faucet and know that if there's a failure, I'll be there, and I won't accept subpar performance. That's who I am. Thank you.
Hold on, Rob. When did you submit these documents to the manager?
I want to say it's December 2nd, but I print out a hard copy.
It was just this month, sir.
That was interesting. Thank you.
All right, so we're in discussion here. Good. All right. I took some time. I've taken a lot of time, actually, since this was presented forward to me. I also met with Rob earlier today. We had a long discussion over this as well. I met with JC today. Had another discussion with him over this as well. And here it comes to my opinion on this. Rob, your commitment on the maintenance side is solid. The repairs, the constant bit, by the way, I did bring water by for you guys. You're on 30th
Yes.
Ave. Or,
Thank you.
but your maintenance side of it is solid. The problem is where I struggle with this is still the director side of it, with the procedures that are set in place. We got there's jobs going that aren't being permitted, and work being done without the permits. There's the director side of it. I have to address, because the financial side, the future side, that whole aspect of it. I know you're new to that, but that's where we have the most trouble in this town, is going forward with that side of it. The maintenance side of it, you got that down. You got the town. We've had discussion. I mean, you and I think we spent a good 20 minutes just on lift station 17 discussing that today. And the 17.
Yes.
So when it comes to that, I have no issues. When it comes to the director side of thing, that's where I really have to step back and see what's in the best interest of the town. And as I told you from the beginning, I've always been upfront with you. I've always had that open communication. I do with every single director here in this town. Everyone has equal and fair access to me just like anybody else. All I got to do is make the time to make the call, and I make the time for them as well. So, but the director side is where I really struggle with you in that position. The maintenance side, you got that part solid. But the procedural side, the actual director side of it, and continuing, that's where my chief complaint's going to be on this. So, anyone else have anything?
I have a question for the manager. Did he present the organizational chart to you and say that his department would function a lot better?
He would speak to me about changes that he would like to make, and I told him, put it in writing. Give me something in writing. Put it in writing. And it wasn't until that memo he sent last month, that was the first time I got something in writing.
What about qualified staff? Did he ever mention that the guys he's currently working with is not or underqualified?
He's mentioned, and he even mentioned it in his staff in a commission meeting, some issues with his staff. But the problem is that it's pretty much the entire department that is having an issue. You see, when he mentioned that he would line them up and say, do you have any issues? The complaint I'm getting is he never said thank you for your hard work. I appreciate you for your hard work. And if you notice in those pictures, he was the one doing it when a director needs to be empowering his staff to do the work and motivating them to do the work. And that's where the problem has risen. And they came to me. I didn't go to them. The staff came to me.
I'd like to address that if I can. It was two people who showed up.
It was the entire department.
No, I'm talking about when I was working. June 3rd, we had 4 lift stations go down. I had to get in the fight. We never had any issues prior to one individual. And I've addressed this, and it needs to change whether I'm here or not. But, Mr. Manager, I respect your position on that, but you know as well as I do that you and I have had conversations at length in the direction that the town could go and what we can accomplish. And, Mr. Mayor, I've always operated within budget. We have a CIP, and I don't know how anybody came up and said we didn't have it. The only thing we didn't have is a stormwater sewer plan that we needed to put in place. And that was 20 years old.
That's the other issue I'm having. The CIP plan you're mentioning is just a random list without any descriptions. The projects were old. We don't know. So it needed to be basically done from scratch. And that's what I've asked for a long time, and it wasn't getting done. I even sat with you, with Roy. Roy presented a template that all we had to do was, plug in numbers, and you had to plug in numbers and descriptions, and it took some time, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So I don't want to go back and forth with you. The only thing I would say to you is that the CIP, request for CIP, was when you brought it to my attention that we needed it for the grants, and we've been working on it. And I've been working with D. Harper to put this thing together. I have a copy of it. We're moving forward on it. The unfortunate thing about my job is that it takes time in order for me to accomplish what I need to accomplish. That's all.
And one thing that the other commissioners are not aware of up here is that sitting in this position here where I'm at, everything comes down to being in my name for this town. Every single item comes down to me. And when it comes to these grants, I'm the signature on these grants, and these grants we still have problems. Now, our town attorney sitting here doesn't know the complete history, but we had grants that were taken out, grants that are just a disaster. We're trying to clear them and get rid of them. But we have our contractors up north working round the clock trying to get our grants cleared up so we can proceed forward with infrastructure grants to actually fix the serious problems we have here in town. Obviously, you know I joke around with patching this pipe on 30th continuously, but as you see, every month we're having collapse. Rob, how many have we had in the last year?
We had 8, sir.
8 on the same pipe in the last
No,
year.
6 on one pipe, 2 on the other.
Okay, but you see where I'm going. This pipe is, this is a huge project. This is on our capital improvements list of items to be fixed, but we have to clear out the things that were all here long before all 3 of us were sitting here that are still there. So for the 4 years that we've been here, year and a half you've been here, we have, out of this department, it's been the same problem continuously. We haven't had them clearing out. They're still there, and that's a major issue for me, as my name again keeps coming on these. I'm getting late notices. I'm getting served by the town, for non-compliance. I'm getting, going to the code board, for the city, all sorts of issues and nasty letters that I should not be getting. And that's where leadership in that position, again, this falls under the director side of that position, where like I'm overseeing the town. You're overseeing that department. The manager's running the day-to-day. We all have our positions and responsibilities here. But as the director for Public Works, it needs to be the director of Public Works, and your name is on the Public Works stuff, not really being down in the trenches, so to speak. But unfortunately, that's where we're at in this town. So again, I don't have any issues with your maintenance side of it. I have the issues with the director side of it, and the procedures, the grants, the permits that aren't getting pulled, people going ahead and doing projects or repairs without the permits, and then code enforcement coming and violating. And it makes us, this cycle just keeps going and going and going. And that's where my problem lies on it. And that's where I stand. As our 2.5 hour discussion earlier today, I told you where I stood on it and where I am. So.
Yes, sir. Well, if I may, I think it's a little unfair that the building department or the code enforcement enforces code issue on the town when we're doing simple repairs. It was never that way. I've talked to the people who were sitting in my check prior, how it came to fruition. I had a discussion with one of the commissioners, and they made it clear to me that, hey, we have to be held to the same standard, right? And I've been working towards that. That's the reason why we have the Keith and Associates engineering model, for them to be able. So what I'm trying to say to you is that for everything that you brought up here today, I've put a leadership solution in play.
No, for many years, the town didn't have code enforcement functioning as the code enforcement department should have functioned,
right,
which also led to the demise of the town. As we discussed earlier today, as far as I can go back so far in the records, I haven't gone back any farther. Per our discussion, it was the preventative maintenance seemed to stop around 07, right, in that kind of time frame where things just progressively fell apart around here. I don't know what it was that changed. I don't know what dynamic happened, because that was long before we were here, long before I think most of us were here. I don't even know if very few people were still here in 07. So, Jeffrey, I know you were here. But something had changed that put us in the position where now, instead of being very, very proactive, we're trying to clean up the problems of the past. And in this position that you're at, I need a very strong public works director. I even engineer as most towns have for this position, and to make this department continue going forward. So, this is I hate doing this way. I've said that to absolutely everybody. I don't like being here in a public forum, having these open discussions like this. That's why I met with you earlier today and talked with you. And unfortunately, this is the way our charter's written, and the way the policies and procedures have to be done when it comes to a handful of these positions here in town. And I do apologize for that because this is not something I like to do. So
I understand, and the only thing I can say to you is that the document from which everyone is speaking of is that there is no misuse or abuse of government equipment or personnel, and so I reject that 100%. So far as from a leadership perspective, where you needed leadership is with the broken pipes and the things that didn't work in this town. Before you could follow up closely to any of the things that you needed to get done, all of your grant information has been submitted and is up to date. And let's think about that for a second. From a guy like me who's down in the hole, he still gets all of those documents submitted and makes sure that these meetings take place and that everybody has all the safety equipment. And see, what people don't realize is that I'm responsible for every blade of grass, for every hedge that needed to be cut, every tree that needed to be trimmed, every light that's on everything, a single street that we have here. All the potholes, that's all mine. When the dog is dead on the side of the road, that's me. All of those things that are associated with making the town work, that's me. One person. And that one person has to delegate that downstream to people who have the skill set necessary to make this thing happen. And we both know that we need an enhancement in this department. And if it starts with me, it starts with me, and that's fine. But I think that I've been given a overreaching task, and I haven't been given the time to reap the benefits of all of my hard work. So I would say to you, Commission, that this 1 year and gone thing, it'll take 6 months for the next guy to get on board, and then you'll be right back in the same situation. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can say to you is this, is that I need more time. I need the opportunity to fix some of the problems that JC and I could have sat down and talked about instead of going to termination. And he knows that we could fix that.
JC, we all established that he's a hard worker, right?
Absolutely. I've never taken that away from him.
Why would you go straight to termination and not say suspension or type of?
I outlined it on my memo. Well, no. I outlined the reasons why I recommend a termination. I honestly think he's good at maintenance, but as far as the administration and empowering his employees and getting moving that department in the right direction, I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to be there. And him and I, we have spoken about it, and when I've talked to him about it's in the memo about fixing the employee morale, I don't have to say anymore. It's in there.
and I'm not going to go circles and circles over it, but we almost lost one of our longtime contractors for our grants because they're doing all the work that should be coming out of your department for the grants. Not they should be doing what they're doing, but they're doing what they're doing to save the town and save these grants. They're the ones working on getting all that together, and unfortunately we almost lost one of them as a result from the excessive amount that's being put upon them of things that aren't getting done down here. They've even come down to try to get everyone on the same page and moving forward, and that's when it comes to municipality and these major infrastructure repairs, that it comes down to the grants and the funding that we get, from Tallahassee, from wherever we're getting these grants from, to continue to make these improvements and fix the things. So without that, we can't even fix the jobs that we know that we have to do. The towns run, municipalities all run on a shoestring budget. It's without that. That's the key point, and that's really the key to the director position right there.
I get it, sir.
It's keeping all that. So that's all I have to say.
My issue is that what happened in 2021 before I got here, and with the grant situation in 2020 and 2019 when they were approved, and then I get 365 to fix everything. That's my only issue with any of this, is that this looks like I'm not given the support necessary to do whatever I need to do. If I come to you and I say that, hey, these positions right here are overwhelmed and we need to make a staffing change, and the staffing change doesn't happen. I understand that. I'm used to working with what I have, and that's what I do. And I hold people accountable, and when you start to hold people accountable, then they start to complain. You see how this is cascading, that this is what we need. This was the overreaching objective. This is what I requested in support. The support didn't happen for one reason or another, whatever it is, but I still have to press on. And that's where the issue is. And I'm not making any excuses. I'm saying that there's nothing out of whack here. Everything is being done.
And then our conversation goes back to, I told you, me and JC, when he came on, the way things were done around here wasn't done properly. So the commission's responsible for the directors and the people they appoint. JC's responsible for staff. You know, those staffing issues that you have in your department need to be handled through HR and through the town manager.
Absolutely.
They are not meant to come before the commission. We are not responsible for town staff, and nor do we want to be. I don't believe anyone up here wants to be involved with that. And so, you know, the line was finally defined once we had a town manager in place, where we were able to separate the two, the way that our charter set up and the way our commission works. But you're here a year and a half now with the same people in staff, the same problems in the department that, you know, as we discussed earlier today, that continue to.
And if we would have made that change, sir, because I made a change with a non-compliant employee, and we've moved into a better space with the outsourcing that we've done from an engineering perspective. And we're in a better situation because of it, because see, now as opposed to having one engineer, we have 11 to choose from with the skill sets necessary to accomplish the goals that we need to set forward. Now we have someone we can go to with the grant experience and the ability to put things together. See, these are the things that has happened during my tenure that the light doesn't get shined on. The light gets shined on the rust stains on the side of the building, and how I'm able to get that done in 24 hours, but they don't get shined on it that we have 11 different CCNA partners that we can go to work through these grant processes, or we can get these things shovel ready. Those are the things that, where they say that I'm not doing a director's job, that happened under my watch. That we didn't have in continuing services agreements with companies that weren't fly by night, that you've been paying who knows how much money to, that are doing subpar performance. That happened under my watch. It didn't go in the presentation, but that happened under my watch. Is that individuals who live in mobile home communities, right, have an infrastructure issue, and we've identified the infrastructure in it, and we're holding them accountable for it. That's happening under my watch. The potholes, the roads that need to be fixed, and all of the things that are happening, those decisions are coming from the big chair, because I come to you and I present those to you. The issues that we're having here, and I don't know everything. I'm not going to assume that I do. But I'm eating the sandwich that I've been given. There's a whole lot of people that stand behind me that have an opinion on how to dig the hole, but very few people pick up the shovel. That's the issue. I challenge anybody to sit into my chair, because there was a couple people who sat in it, and we know the outcome of that.
Yep. Do you have any more questions, discussion?
No, I don't. I just want to thank you, Robbie.
My pleasure, sir.
Likewise. All right, roll call.
We have a motion. Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Mayor Jacobs. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
No.
Vice Mayor DeVille.
I think we'll actually stay a little bit longer. I'm gonna say no, see how things go.
Mayor Jacobs.
I'm going to say yes on the fact that I need a director in there, Rob. I don't need a maintenance guy as the director. I need a director in there. So yes.
You will have a director, sir. You have my word.
Hold you to it. All right. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I got to go back to where we were.
11.1, sir.
Yeah, got it. 11.1. Town attorney exit contract.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Town attorney exit contract. Town manager Jimenez, HR director Friedman.
Okay, as was requested by the commission, I went and tried to negotiate, a separation with our town attorney. Unfortunately, that didn't result in anything that I can present to you with a straight face, and I just don't think I could have presented that to you. So in speaking with our labor counsel, who drafted up the initial agreement that we had sent over, which was rejected, we have, I'm going to let him give his opinion, his recommendation. Yeah, I'm ready. Hey, Chris, can you hear me? Chris, can you hear me? Okay, I just wanted to, I already introduced the item, and if you can just give the commission your point of view, your recommendation.
Sorry, I can barely hear you, JC.
Oh, if you can give your recommendation, I already introduced the item.
Okay, yes, my recommendation, commissioners, is that you do this termination without cause and pay her what she's entitled to under the contract. This will avoid litigation and serious expense to the town in the future. I've reviewed the contract, and that is certainly the best proceeding.
Just for the record, Mayor, if I could just reflect that on the phone is the city's labor counsel, Chris Stearns. Just wanted the record to reflect
Thank you.
speaking. Thank you, Mayor.
Have you guys all had the privilege to talk with Chris?
Not to Chris, but the manager filled me in.
Okay. So there's several ways that we can go with this. The recommendation you're coming up with, Chris, is paying out you're saying without cause, which we have to pay her out for 20 weeks.
Yes, the contract provides for a payment of 20 weeks of severance, which is the most that you can have under Florida law, but that was what the agreement when she signed her contract with the town was for.
Okay. A couple things that we have. One, we have a great deal of cause. We have several situations where the fact that I have actually been made the victim here in the town to the fact that multiple complaints were filed and neither of the HR directors or the town manager had even investigated those. Those were 4, which would have terminated her contract with cause potentially a year and a half ago. So now we're at a situation where she said on the dais, pay her out 3 months and she's gone. If everyone recalls that, which is 3 months is the 20, more or less the 20 weeks remaining, right?
20 weeks, whatever that comes out to.
20 weeks. Yeah. 20 weeks is what the contract says. So me personally, I believe, due to this situation and the abundance of issues that we have with the town attorney, not just with me, with 4 other males here in town, the complaints, the lack of performance, there were such a multitude of issues that I personally am in the boat, as I spoke with JC earlier today, that I think it should be that we terminate her with cause, and we're just going to end up, in a suit with her down the road. She's going to sue either one way or another. It's coming, and I think it's going to come no matter what. So if we pay her out, we pay her out, and then there's going to be a suit down the road, or we don't pay her out, and there's going to be a suit down the road. It's just how this is gonna go. So it's up to you guys to decide on what you want to do. I brought it forward to terminate her months ago with cause, with justified cause, and you two did not support it. Now we're in this situation where you guys have supported the termination. It's come to the town attorney, and legal counsel here to negotiate an agreement, and this is where we're at. So my personal opinion is, I think paying out someone for anything shows that we were in the wrong, but I strongly believe that we were not. But that's on you guys. I'll let you make the decision here. So,
I would like to make a motion to follow the attorney's advice and proceed without cause and do the 20 weeks and be done with it.
Second.
discussion?
Yes. Are we recommending the termination with cause because she'll be less likely to win?
Without cause, you mean?
Right, I'm sorry. Without cause because she'll be less likely to win. Is he still on?
Did you hear the question?
I did not.
The question is,
Are we, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, the question is, are we recommending the termination without cause because she will not, or there's less likely of a lawsuit?
No, I recommend termination without cause because that is what the contract is for. It provides for two different options. There is termination with cause, which means you must provide a list of particulars which outline what the particular cause is. He will then have the right to a public hearing at which to present evidence and to go through to analyze whether or not there is cause as the contract defines it. That hearing will, at the end of the hearing, you would then vote and decide whether or not there is cause. If you determine that there was cause, you would have the right to challenge that in court, and it is difficult to prove cause under a contract like this. And the ultimate fact is you will end up paying attorneys to litigate it, and the expense to the town, and the risk of paying additional attorney's fees beyond that which you will be paying this time is great. So the smartest and easiest course is to proceed with a contractual payment of the severance.
And this does not prevent her from suing us in return still, does it not?
No, it does not. She has to have a basis to sue, which is she would have to come up with something protected by either the Whistleblowers Act, Florida Civil Rights Act, some protected trait, and prove that you were taking this action today because of some protected trait. Now you are electing to terminate without cause. That certainly shows good faith on your part, and it is much more. It is very defensible.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor,
Read the motion again, please.
the motion is to terminate the city attorney without cause and provide her with a 20-week severance. Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
Okay, Mayor, 11.2, I'm sorry, I don't want to jump ahead.
Yep.
They're related.
11.2, interim town attorney, town manager, Jimenez.
Now that the commission has taken official action, we need to have legal representation, at least on the interim basis, until, you know, the commission can properly vet and review, interview, whatever process you guys want to take as a commission. I would recommend that we bring on board on an interim basis Sam Gorin's firm, Gorin Cheroff, with Sam Gorin and Jacob Horowitz being basically the attorneys that will come and represent us.
All right with that?
Well, I don't want to limit that.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
the interim basis.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Mayor, and Vice Mayor, Clerk, Commissioner. The short answer is we've represented the town for the better part of 5 or 6 years now as your special counsel. First with your former town attorney, Chris Ryan, and more recently with Melissa. We're certainly happy to continue in that capacity. Again, not knowing what the town commission's intentions are with regards to interim and the future of the position, obviously we'd like to keep doors open with regards to discussion about how you intend to proceed. We obviously would not leave the town without legal coverage. We do have a fee engagement in place with the town. We're happy to honor that as you move forward and evaluate as needed.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. And again, just for the record, it would either be myself, my law partner, Sam Gorin. We are 14 lawyers, 13 or 14 lawyers at the moment. We're all municipal practitioners. You may see.
I think I know 3.
From time to time. But anyways, to make a long story short, we certainly welcome and appreciate the opportunity.
All right.
Thank you.
What motion would you like, JC?
Just a motion to name Goran Cherov. I think I'm butchering that name.
Yeah, just for the record, it's Goran, Sheriff, Duty, and Ezreal.
Good luck. I'll entertain a motion.
Proceed to use the interim attorney, Goran Company.
That'll work.
Second, Goran and Al.
Just to make it short and sweet.
Discussion? Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor Seville. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Seville?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner.
Thank you. I removed 12.1 for a later time. Attorney reports, anything from you would like to add?
I do have a quick item to report, Mayor, if I
Okay.
may. Just for the record, I want the commission to be aware, as we all know, the commission is subject to the Broward County Code of Ethics for elected officials. We all know there are certain training requirements that you all undertake from time to time under that code. Last week, the Broward County Commission adopted an ordinance amending the county's ethics code that I wanted the commission to be aware of. The Constitution of the state of Florida was actually amended in 2020 by the voters of the Constitution, specifically regarding public service ethics for public officials. Last week, the Broward County Commission amended the code to embrace certain provisions in the Constitution, specifically regarding lobbying. Elected officials in Broward County, as it stands prior to the change, were prohibited from lobbying what the code referred to as covered individuals, which is a group of individuals and entities within Broward County. Effective immediately under the county code and effective on January 1st under state law, elected officials in Broward County would be prohibited from lobbying any level of government, state, federal, or local level while you're in office. The prohibition is also extended for when you leave office as it relates to lobbying the agency that you just served. When you leave office, whenever that time in the future may be, you'd be prohibited from lobbying the town of Pembroke Park for a period of 6 years. These are changes to the state constitution, which again were embraced last week by the county commission and the county ethics code. So just wanted to add that for the record, Mayor. Thank you.
And I believe we all 3 have our ethics done for the year. If not, there is one last opportunity coming up, but I think we all 3 have ours done. So just wanted to let you know there is one last opportunity, but I think we're good. Town manager reports.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I just want to let you know, next month, I'll be bringing the resolution for stating the town's intent to pursue a fire fee. I'm going to be bringing that up. That is the beginning of the process. Then we will do the actual study, determine what the fee will be, submit that towards the end of the year to the commission. If they agree, they'll vote for it, and then we'll submit it to the property appraiser's office and the tax collector's office so that that fee gets implemented.
Please stay on top of this so we get it done in a timely manner.
Yeah, that's coming next month, so we're good so far. And the other thing I wanted to mention, the transparency portal. This is something that the vice mayor has championed.
Can I jump in real quick for clarification so you guys know about the fire fee? It's a pass-through tax. Currently, it's tied into our ad valorem, which makes our ad valorem tax very high. We're tied for second place for the highest in Broward County. By pulling out the fire fee, which every other municipality has, we do not. it brings down our ad valorem tax to where it should be a legitimate ad valorem tax. And
8.5.
no, 8.5. 8.5. There's only one municipality higher than us at 8.7, and we're tied it with West Park at 8.5. But pulling the fire fee out, because it is a pass-through tax, it gets paid across the town as a fire fee. There's no revenue generated from it, but what it actually does is bring our ad valorem tax to where it needs to be, which helps businesses come into the community, as what they look at is our ad valorem tax rate, and seeing that it's at 8.5. What's that?
What will it bring it down?
I have no idea. That's what the study is going to come up with to see where it's going to be, but it's not going to be 8.5. It will drastically drop. So that will help with us with the bringing in more businesses to fill these vacant lots we have around town. Thank you. Sorry, JC. I just
No
wanted to
problem.
make sure that was clarified why we're doing it.
No worries. The transparency portal, like I was saying, is up and running. It's on there's a link on our website. We may be changing that link to make it a little more prominent, but it's up, it's running. This is an initiative that our vice mayor championed, and this allows for our residents to log on and just keep an eye on our budget, see where we're spending the money, where their tax dollars going to. And a lot of cities have this. It's a great tool. As we all know, years ago, an engaged citizen needed to come to town hall. With technology, an engaged citizen can do it from their house, and that's what we're trying to do.
Sounds good. Anything else? JC?
No, that's all I have, sir.
All right, Commissioner reports. Clerk, Commissioner Hodgkins.
No, I don't have.
Vice Mayor DeVille.
Oh, JC stole my thunder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Mayor, please don't.
All right. Again,
Sorry, sir.
when it comes to me, I think as a town, we can still do better. In these positions, we need to continue fixing our staffing issue, get the town fully staffed. That's on HR. I believe with the increase in the wages, the benefits that we do have are still the best in Broward. I continue to hold that to a high standard for our town, but people are looking at the final dollar of what they're getting per hour, and a lot of people don't take into consideration everything else that comes with it. But I'm really hoping that we can get completely staffed, which will cut back on the overtime for the rest of the staff, give them more time with their families. Good news is our police department, we have 2 more officers coming on next week. Nod says yes, next week. We have 2 more officers coming on, and I think we're going to be full up here real soon, which would put us as the only department completely full in Broward County. So that would be outstanding if we can accomplish that, and another feather in our cap with our new police department. So I gave you guys a bunch of flyers to please give out. We have our Sprinkles and Sparkles holiday event, which Jocelyn does not like the name of. She made note to that to my wife and everyone else, but hey, we had to come up with the name real quick. So we do have a holiday event on Sunday, December 18th. It will be from noon to 8 over at the park. It's going to be a little longer hours. Bounce houses, we have a couple businesses that will show up. The usual, we'll have treats for the kids. Our police chief has been volunteered to be our Santa this year. So that's going to make for some great pictures for our police department's website. So his outfit comes in tomorrow. I am so looking forward to this. We have a special magistrate meeting coming up Wednesday, December 21st at 9 a.m. Workshop commission meeting Wednesday, December 28th at 6 p.m. I just want to throw one thing out. I've had to do damage control from what we had as our assistant, and try to quickly rebuild some relationships with our businesses as some things went wayside as our former assistant left. I do have it from HR that they have put out for our new assistant to fill that position, because right now my poor wife is not just my wife, she is running as my assistant at the same time, and I think we're kind of driving her crazy as a mom with 3 kids and all her sports and everything else. But she's really helping me keep everything together and keep our holiday event in place, along with Joy Brown, who has stepped up to help us save Christmas as well. So I'd just like to take a few moments to recognize them. I guess we got everyone's favorite part, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion. All right, sounds good. Time is 9:45 and adjourned.